I guess it's Tuesday, February 3rd, the year of our Lord 2026. It is 3:45 in my time zone, that is Ukraine, uh, um, which means I guess it is. I'm not even sure what time it is back home. Something like normal time, maybe 8:45 a.m. In Washington. Something like that. Maybe it's um, uh, sorry, it's 3:45 Eastern time. Sorry, yeah, it's 10:45 p.m. It's late at night here. My apologies. I just looked down and saw the clock and it said 3:45, and so I said 3:45. As you can see, I'm a little bit discombobulated. Um, Look, folks, I'm coming to you from a windowless bunker in Kharkiv, uh, and it is windowless not because I have been relegated to the worst hotel room in the hotel, but because I have been put in the safest hotel room in a hotel that is quite literally. It's not quite underground, but it is kind of nearly underground, and it is windows in Kharkiv have a tendency to break when there are blasts nearby. And so the best hotel rooms there are ones with no windows at all, close to the ground, because that's where missiles, are it's the higher up you are in a building, the here it is a missile or a drone of some sort or a bomb to get you. And so, what you want in a hotel is no windows and close to the ground, and preferably surrounded by other buildings. And so I have an awesome hotel room that I have no idea how I'm going to wake up tomorrow because, the rays of the sun do not reach through. But if you're a vampire and you are afraid of the sun, this is the best hotel room ever. And if you are uh, happen to be in Kharkiv, where I am, it is a terrific hotel room, and I wholly recommend this location, which I am not going to disclose. But when I get home, if any of you want to go to Kharkiv and you want a hotel that is safe and that is, just hit me up. I've got you covered for that. It is um, you know, I told you I might be coming to you with impromptu dog shirt dailies, dog shirt TVs this week, and this is an impromptu dog shirt TV live from Kharkiv. And so I want to say that the sun was shining here today. It was incredibly bright and beautiful, and the sun was glistening off of the ice that was everywhere. Glazing trees. The birds were chirping. It was. It's really actually offensive to say it was a great fucking day. But I will say I learned a lot today, and uh, you're watching Dog Shirt TV, and it is a fucking revolution in afternoon television. And uh, and one of the revolutionary features is that sometimes morning television actually comes on in the late afternoon, and I am sufficiently discombobulated that I forget that it is 3:45 now, 3:50 back at home, and that it's actually 10:50 here because it's just one of those days. And by the way, the rays of the sun, even if the sun were out, which it's not because it's they don't reach here. Um, don't reach me in this room. Uh, now, I will say another one of the revolutionary features um, is that, if there is a really bad internet connection, that does not stop me. And so, basement hotel room with no windows, and you guys are complaining about the internet connection and the number of pixels that you're getting. I'm just saying, uh, if you can hear me at all, consider yourself lucky. If you can't hear me at all, this whole thing will be uploaded to Dog Shirt Daily. And so I'm going to go on as normal, record this. I'm coming to you alone. And so, it's all I can do. All of which is a long-winded way of saying, and by long-winded, I mean a 7-minute long-winded and remarkably inarticulate for one of my monologues, I must say, that, we're not allowed to have fun anymore. But we are allowed to go to Kharkiv, where it was like really beautiful out, except for the part that it was 0 degrees Fahrenheit for, I don't know what the temperature is right now, but it is really freaking cold here. And most people don't have electricity and don't have heat. And so the sun glinting off of the beautiful ice is, let's just say, of cold comfort. It's really, it's scary cold here, and people are really suffering. Um, okay, item number one on my agenda. And by the way, yeah, so John Hawkinson informs me that it is now -3 degrees Fahrenheit in Kharkiv. I'm not making this shit up. It is really, really cold. And we are trying to get people batteries. It's a freaking drop in the bucket. But if you happen to be that drop, benefit from that drop, it's a great thing. So we're doing what we can. We are also acquiring some electric blankets in Kharkiv because Nastya has, I think, purchased. There aren't any available that she could find in Kiev, but there are some in Kharkiv. We are going to buy them up and give them away. So, we're doing what we can. All right, first item on my agenda. It's really dangerous here. And I want to tell you about what happened to me last night. There was a mass Russian attack last night in Kiev, in Kharkiv. I left Kiev this morning and there was an apartment building on fire. You could see the smoke coming up as we drove out of the city. And I arrived in Kharkiv today and went to coffee with a woman whose Twitter account I have followed and really fitted from. I walked in and she showed me that there was an apartment building on fire in Kharkiv as shortly after we arrived. And that is not, neither of these things, neither of these facts has anything to do with how I injured myself yesterday. And not just injured myself, but crushed my computer such that it folded in half. And the fact that I am still able to broadcast is a testament to the reliability of Chromebooks, because this computer, and I will post a picture of it on Dog Shirt Daily, is visibly injured. And by the way, when you fall on a computer hard enough to fold it in half, it does some damage to your abdomen. And I have abrasions all over my back and side. And no, this has nothing to do with Russian missiles, glide bombs, or drones, though they were falling on Kiev today. It has everything to do with the glaze of ice on the street, because I went to dinner last night with two absolutely lovely Kievans whom I had never met before, but who a friend said I should meet. And we went to dinner and we spent a little bit of time trying to figure out who each other were and why our mutual friend had decided we should meet. And then it became clear what the answer to that. And we spent probably 2.5 hours shooting the shit and eating really, really good food. And then it was time to go because the restaurant was closing. And so I put on my jacket and I grabbed my stuff and we said goodbye. And they warned me that walking down the hill from the Golden Gate neighborhood to Podil neighborhood was going to be dangerous. And I said, pshaw, and I did it anyway. And right after they left me, I went down hard. And I came down on my bag. The bag shielded me. The computer folded in half, and it still works. I unfolded it when I got to my hotel room and was amused to find that it still works. And I am coming to you um, from a bunker in Kharkiv with a computer that has been folded in half. And John Hawkinson, who may be the only person in the chat today, maybe the entire Greek chorus himself, points out that damaged batteries can work for an unpredictable length of time before they become dangerous. And and that may be true. This computer's got to last me another 2.5 days, and we'll see if it becomes dangerous. It's you know, but it's what I got. So all of which is to say, and I want you to take this very seriously, that when you are in a war zone and locals tell you to behave a certain way, you listen to them. And by the way, this injury has nothing whatsoever to do with this being in a war zone. Um, uh, anyway, that is the story of my injury in a war zone. And now I'm going to shift gears and talk to you a little bit about Kharkiv. Um, Kharkiv is first of all, the city is nothing like what I expected at all. I was expecting Kharkiv is the second city of Ukraine, and I don't really know why I think it has a bit of a reputation as kind of an industrial city and um, uh, and it's you know very much associated with uh, factory production, and so I had expected it to be. I had this image of it as uh, very drab Soviet architecture. And that may have something to do with the fact that some of the sort of iconic buildings of Kharkiv are, Soviet era architectural pieces. And I had seen pictures of Soviet era apartment blocks that look like, well, Soviet era apartment blocks. And so I had this image in my head, and first of all, I was completely wrong. The downtown of Kharkiv is stunning. Um, and it is a remarkable combination of uh, fascinating imperial architecture, uh, Soviet buildings of different periods, some of which are drab and horrible, and some of which are kind of amazing, uh, and more modern pieces that are quite lovely. And so the first of all, the city is there are a lot of beautiful buildings in it, and is would be under other circumstances completely fascinating place to walk around and do an architectural tour. You can't really walk around safely in Kharkiv right now. The number of let me just show you what my phone looks like right now. So these are today's missile warnings. Whoops, hang on. Uh, well, that's what you're going to see of them. Let's just say there are a lot of them. The notifications that I have gotten that there's incoming drones or missiles into this city. It is, uh, as my interlocutor in this conversation said when I said to her, like, how do you know which one of these to respond to? She says, you have to respond to none of them because if you respond to any of them, and by respond, it means go into a shelter. She says you'll spend your whole life in a shelter because they're constant. And she's right. You get a notification that there's something incoming every, it feels like every 20 minutes, maybe more. Um, and it is absolutely grinding. And it's very stressful. And then she tells me, and by the way, you should follow this person if you're on Twitter or Blue Sky. Her handle is Kate in Kharkiv, and it may be the handle may be Kate from Kharkiv. I forget which is the handle and which is the name. She is a local who has been here the entirety of the full-scale invasion, and she tweets about life in Kharkiv under constant Russian assault. And she, describes, you just have to ignore it all and go and live your life. And by the way, the most dangerous missiles, which are the actual, ballistic missiles, um, are un you don't get to even to get a warning about because they get here so fast, and we're sufficiently close to the front line, which is about 50 kilometers from here, that when one of those things get released, the air defense notification doesn't even the air defenses don't pick it up in time for there to be a notification. So the notification of those is when they go off. um, Okay, so that is what your phone is doing while you're here. Uh, then there's I posted a photo essay the other day of Odessa, um, and the, destruction of cultural heritage in Odessa. This is much more dramatic than that. It's the number of buildings that have plywood instead of windows is astonishing. I don't, I will post pictures tomorrow of some of it. The number of these include, you know, stained glass windows from, the main cathedral in the city, which, by the way, is a masterpiece. Opened in 1901. Somehow the Soviets didn't destroy it. And, you know, so the main damage, there's damage even to many buildings that aren't physically damaged by impacts, because the blast radius of things going off around them um, shatters windows. Hence why it's safer to stay in hotels with no windows. Um, and so you have, first of all, the buildings that are actually damaged by being hit. But then you also have the buildings that are just nearby where the glass in the windows shatters. Now, unlike in Odessa, where people replace the windows, here you don't do that because it's just going to hit again. And so there is a very large amount of buildings that were damaged, sometimes not that severely, but damaged, and nobody bothers to fix them because it's a fool's errand. So those are the buildings that are, just have their windows blown out. But then there's the rest, the ones that are actually hit by missiles. And these are really upsetting to see. I mean, just in the time I saw today, there is a obliterated municipal building, which I'll post pictures of all of this tomorrow. There's a daycare center next to the cathedral that I just mentioned. The blast from the daycare center, which, by the way, was caught on film by a security camera that is still there. And so what I'm going to do is post the video, which, um, you know, people tweeted about at the time, of the impact on this daycare center. But then I can also, now post video of what that place looks like today, as well as what the buildings across the street look like, because the blast was so intense that it blew not just the windows out of that building, it blew the side of that building into, uh, so that it's like now on an angle. Um, and um, these strikes are happening like all the time, and I have seen, you know, occasional stuff like this. I mean, you see, like, when the Houthis were attacking Israel, you would have, a missile come in now and then, right? But this is like multiple times a day, and the percentage of the percentage of buildings that have, some, and this is in just in the downtown area, that have somewhere between windows blown out, visible structural damage, and complete obliteration is is kind of awesome. I don't mean awesome in a positive sense, of course. I mean it in the sense of inspiring a certain awe. Um, and this is a city. This is the second largest city in the country, and um, uh, connection, which is not good. Um, but the thing says it is trying to reconnect, and so I'm going to have faith that it's going to reconnect, and I'm going to keep talking. Um, so, so, the percentage of buildings that have some combination of